what about the waste? Where will we store it, and how can we ensure that it's going to be safe for hundreds of thousands of years?
You're right, nuclear feels very dangerous if it's unshielded, and we do need to take care to ensure our safety. You might be surprised, though, to learn that there's actually never been a single death from used nuclear fuel in the entire history of commercial nuclear power.
How is that possible? If you stood right next to hot nuclear waste, you'd die in like a few minutes.
Well, that may be true. People aren't allowed to do that. The nuclear waste you might be thinking of actually looks like these. They're ceramic fuel rods inside of metal tubes. After they spend 5 years in a reactor making loads of energy, they chill in a pool for a few more years, and then they're put into dry casks like these, where they're encased in 2 feet of concrete and a few inches of steel. These casks protect the fuel so well that you can actually hug the outside of them and receive no more radiation than you would from eating a banana.
Well, where are they gonna put all these casks? I don't want this spent nuclear fuel in my backyard.
Well, for now, most of these casks live on site of the nuclear plants where they were produced. Some countries, like Finland, are building permanent underground storage where the waste will be encased deep in stable rock, back where the uranium first came from. This is possible in the US, but politics has historically come in the way.
But won't the waste be radioactive for like a million years? How could we even make sure it's safe for that long?
In short, after 600 years, you'd literally have to eat it for it to hurt you.
Won't nuclear waste be radioactive for like a million years? How can we make sure it's safe for that long, especially if people want to put it in these underground repositories?
Well, technically, used nuclear fuel remains radioactive forever, since uranium's half-life is 4.5 billion years. But radiation decreases over time. Spent fuel emits 3 forms of radiation: alpha rays, beta rays, and gamma rays. Alpha rays are stopped by your skin, and beta rays are stopped by a few inches of skin or a thin sheet of aluminum. The only real hazard to humans, then, is the high-powered gamma ray.
Right, the one that can totally kill you.
Well, listen to this. After less than 600 years, the fuel has decayed to the point where 99.999% of gamma rays have completely disappeared, leaving behind mostly uranium-238, which is an alpha emitter. At this point, you can safely hold it in your bare hands. It's got about the same radiation level of uranium in the ground. In fact, the radiation really wouldn't affect you at all unless you ate it.
Well, that's stupid. Why would you eat it?
Exactly. As a general rule, people should not eat rocks. If you were to eat this uranium rock for some reason, you would definitely die of kidney failure before you developed any form of cancer. So to answer your question, the spent fuel will be safe in 600 years.
That's actually way shorter than I thought it was. Fear-mongering is real, I guess. Why do we need nuclear when we have renewable energy like solar and wind?
It sounds really good, doesn't it? Getting our energy from nature?
Yeah, it makes total sense actually. If we can harness the power of the sun to power our worlds, why would we need nuclear plants?
Well, I'm sure you know that wind and solar can't produce power 100% of the time. In reality, they're only producing 20 to 40% of the time. Energy has to be used the moment it's produced, stored in batteries, or transformed into another form like hydrogen, or thrown away, which is called curtailment. Many governments that attempt to go fully solar or wind just end up using gas or coal when the going gets tough.
Okay, well then why can't we just store that energy in lithium-ion batteries and use it later on when we need it?
Well, it's possible to store the extra energy in batteries, but there are barriers. Lithium-ion batteries are expensive, and they also require an extraordinary amount of raw materials. The battery supply chain also relies heavily on unethical labor and has vast environmental impacts. To power a whole city, you would need so many batteries, and these take up space. They aren't necessarily cost-effective.
What do you mean wind and solar aren't cheap? I thought they were the cheapest.
Well, they are among the cheapest energy sources, but they need expensive battery backup, like I said, and they also only last 15 to 20 years before needing total replacements. A lot of the numbers that you're seeing are really subsidized.
So what I'm hearing is that you hate solar and wind. You're clearly not an environmentalist.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Solar and wind are important parts of a low-carbon energy mix. I just think that nuclear can complement them well as a clean baseload power source, and so do loads of other people.
Nuclear energy isn't safe. I mean, imagine what would happen if a nuclear plant blew up and spewed radioactive waste all over the earth.
Yeah, radioactive waste all over the earth would be disastrous. It's a good thing that can't happen.
What do you mean that can't happen? Look at all the accidents that have happened around the world.
Nuclear is among the safest energy sources, right next to wind and solar. This may be surprising since we've all heard of a few high-profile accidents, but when you spend a little time researching, it's easy to find that the actual harm was far overshadowed by the amount of fear and doomsday news reporting that it caused. caused. Despite all of the scary news coverage about Fukushima, for example, nobody died from radiation exposure. Yet, Japan decided to temporarily shut down the rest of their nuclear plants in favor of fossil fuels such as coal and gas, which are far more dangerous. Thankfully, they're restarting their nuclear plants now and are planning to build more.
Well, I'm glad that nobody died, but if nuclear plants can melt down, we shouldn't have them, period.
Nuclear power is managed by strict regulations, advanced technology, and rigorous safety protocols, and the 440 reactors in the world produce clean energy 24/7 without issue. Most countries use hazardous energy sources like coal and oil, which kill thousands of people every single day. In fact, nuclear has prevented around 2 million of these deaths by displacing fossil fuels. If safety is a priority for us, we should focus on eliminating our most dangerous forms of energy while elevating our safest forms, right?